Making headlines this summer, President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu states a rehabilitation system designed to reintegrate drug users into the society must operate within community participation and adhere strictly to Islamic principles. A vibrant ceremony at the Social Center in Male marks the 10th anniversary of the Japanese embassy's presence in the Maldives. The Civil Service Commission (CSC) gazettes an amendment to the Civil Service Regulation introducing a formal framework for emergency-related absence and remote work arrangements.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English. With me, Fatma Zaina Rifat. And now for the news in detail. President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu states a rehabilitation system designed to reintegrate drug users into society must operate with community participation and adhere strictly to Islamic principles.
The narcotics epidemic remains the most deeply rooted and enduring crisis facing the nation, requiring the collective cooperation of the public to achieve a comprehensive solution, President Muizzu observed during the third episode of the podcast The Pulse. The President maintained, addressing the underlying factors of the crisis stands as the administration's primary priority. He underscored, resolving this crisis necessitates the unified collaboration of society encompassing families, civil society organizations, and state institutions. The President explained, the administration aims to rescue the youth currently ensnared in the crisis, ensuring those who recover are provided with the avenues to build dignified and honorable lives. The rehabilitation framework must provide a guarantee that affected youth will not revert to substance abuse upon their reintegration, the President declared. He argues, because the nation stands firmly upon the noble religion of Islam, foundational principles must inherently be Islamic ones. The President concluded, the system must foster a love for religious values, instill a profound belief in faith, and cultivate a resolute determination to abandon destructive behaviors in accordance with Islamic tenets.
President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu states the negative influences of illicit narcotics that previously existed within the police institution have been thoroughly eliminated, and the law enforcement service itself has been further strengthened.
These remarks were delivered during his appearance on the third episode of the Pulse podcast series. The President noted that significant efforts have been undertaken over the past 2.5 years to expand the operational capacity of the police to rescue the nation from the drug epidemic. He maintained that the primary objective of these initiatives was to establish a systematic framework capable of addressing narcotics violations directly from within police departments, thereby empowering the force. The President observed, upon assuming office and conducting an initial review, adverse influences were identified within the police's drug enforcement division. He underscored, opportunities to engage in such nefarious activities have now been entirely dismantled. The President asserted, ongoing administrative efforts to resolve gang criminality and drug-related offences are yielding positive results. He explained that the number of individuals participating in gang crimes has decreased and gang-related homicides has seen a substantial decline. Various government agencies are operating collaboratively, and the President noted that a permanent resolution to the narcotics crisis will ultimately be achieved.
A vibrant ceremony at the Social Center in Male marks the 10th anniversary of the Japanese embassy's presence in the Maldives, underscoring a deepening partnership built on shared cultural curiosity and mutual assistance. Addressing guests, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Iruthisham Adam, highlighted the surge of interest in Japanese culture among Maldivians in recent years. The minister thanked Japan for its relentless support across educational, economic, and visa facilitation realms. Japanese ambassador to the Maldives, Ishigami Rumiko, echoed the sentiment, emphasizing that Japan will continue to prioritize its close friendship with the island nation. The ambassador also expressed optimism about increasing Japanese tourist arrivals to the Maldives in the coming years. The event featured a live kendo demonstration, symbolizing the martial arts tradition that Japan has introduced to the Maldives. In honor of the anniversary, Japan donated a set of kendo equipment, which Ambassador Ishigami handed over to local officials. Diplomatic relations between the two countries were first established on 15 November 1967, and the Japanese embassy, initially accredited from Colombo, was officially opened in Male 10 years ago in 2016. The Civil Service Commission, CSC, gazettes an amendment to the Civil Service Regulations, introducing a formal framework for emergency-related absence and remote work arrangements. Under the revised regulation, civil servants may request permission to work from home or another off-site location when a medical professional registered with the Ministry of Health or a locally licensed health center certifies that the employee cannot attend the office because of an emergency. The amendment stipulates that permission will be granted only if the employee's assigned duties can be carried out effectively outside the office, and if the employee has the necessary resources and a suitable working environment. Employees approved for work in absentia must be assigned tasks that can be performed remotely and must be supervised and monitored daily to ensure uninterrupted delivery of public services. Should the employer deem the employee's performance inadequate, the remote work arrangement may be terminated immediately. All staff who are permitted to work off-site must sign a confidentiality agreement committing to protect official information and to remain reachable for any urgent office summons. The regulation also carves out exemptions for sectors where physical presence is essential, with teachers, nurses, and senior management staff being automatically excluded from the remote work provision, as their roles require on-site attendance. The Minister of Arts, Culture and Heritage, Hina Walid, wraps up an inspection of Bara Ha Alifu Atoll with a firm commitment to safeguard the island's treasured monuments.
During her visit, Minister Hina toured the historical sites of Utimo, Takandu and Bara, assessing ongoing conservation work and the preparation for the upcoming National Day celebrations. The minister met with the Bara Council, receiving updates on the progress of several heritage protection projects. Current development initiatives include the cleaning and upgrading of Kamana Magu, the restoration of the historic Kalofumi area, and the development of Waruge. The minister confirmed that work is advancing rapidly, with the goal of completing all projects before National Day later this year. Minister Hina also visited key archaeological locations, among them the Olufatikoru, where the historic Kalofumi was once kept, and the site marked by the 3 berebedi trees used to secure the boat. She toured mangroves, the historic Friday Mosque, and other significant sites, noting the importance of integrating preservation with the island's broader development goals.
Statistics released by the Maldives Inland Revenue Authority reveals diving schools have become the fastest growing segment within the tourism sector, achieving a robust 47% expansion. The agency's first quarter report noted that during the first quarter of this year, the broader tourism industry generated $447 million in output tax, a 20.5% increase compared to the $371 million collected during the corresponding period last year. Diving school revenues experienced the most rapid and substantial expansion among all industry components. These institutions recorded $32.03 million in revenue during the first quarter, a 47.7% surge against the $21.68 million reported during the first quarter of the previous year. The report highlighted the goods and services tax collected from these establishments climbed by 39.5% to reach $269.26 million, a rate of expansion that markedly outpaced the growth of the wider tourism sector. Other aquatic recreation businesses demonstrated strong financial performance. Water sports centers saw revenue expand by 49.2%, climbing to $12.37 million from a previous mark of $8.2 million. Homestay guest houses experienced a steeper percentage growth of 60.8%, though their total financial contribution remained small in proportion to the broader market. Traditional resorts, which maintain the largest financial share of the tourism market, achieved a more moderate 21% revenue increase. The report concluded these statistics reflect the reporting period from December 2025 through February 2026, driven by an 11.6% increase in total tourist arrivals. The Bank of Maldives, BML, defends its newly launched USD investment product, rejecting allegations that it strengthens the black market for foreign currency. BML has insisted that the investment pool, which lets customers deposit US dollars and earn up to 25% return the next day, it is conducted in full compliance with banking laws and Maldives Monetary Authority (MMA) regulations. Customers' dollars are placed in the pool during banking hours and immediately credited to their accounts, where the funds are used to finance e-commerce transactions. BML charges a 30% fee on those platform trades and deducts 5% for administrative costs, with the remainder paid out as returns to investors. The bank emphasized that the product is designed to meet existing e-commerce demand and is limited to a budget allocated for that purpose. BML's Director of Financial Strategy and Planning, Abdullah Hassan, told PSM News that the pool will not alter the overall supply or demand for dollars in the Maldives, and that the bank does not expect the black market exchange rate to be affected. BML, a publicly listed institution, stressed that all transactions are carried out in line with the rules of the Capital Market Development Authority, CMDA. Speculation that interest rates rises in the US would be on hold for the time being put DAX investors in a record-breaking mood once again. At the close of the week, the leading German index climbed by as much as 0.9% to an all-time high of 25,809.79 points. The DAX had already hit a record high and gained a good 4% over the week, as Thursday's jobs report showed the U.S. labor market cooled significantly in June, thereby dampening prospects of a more restrictive monetary policy from the U.S. Federal Reserve, Fed. According to the data from the LSEG, the markets are now pricing in a probability of around 35% for an interest rate hike at the September meeting, down from 55% prior to the release of the data. This weighed on the US currency. The dollar index was heading for its biggest weekly loss since early April, down 0.7%. The Fed, which is tasked with promoting full employment and ensuring price stability, had most recently kept its key interest rate steady within a range of 3.50 to 3.75%. U.S. stock markets remained closed on Friday. Nearly 4 weeks after closely contested runoff election, Peru's National Elections Board officially declares a right-wing candidate, Keiko Fujimori, the country's new president-elect. In her fourth attempt to lead the mining nation, Fujimori won the June 7th runoff election with 50.135% of the vote, according to the Electoral Office, with a margin of 49,641 votes over her rival, the leftist Roberto Sanchez. Following the announcement, Fujimori said she would immediately begin the transfer of power to conduct a technical assessment and determine the country's priorities. The runoff result was the reverse of Fujimori's last campaign in 2021, when she lost by about 44,200 votes to the now former leftist president Pedro Castillo, who is in prison for attempting to dissolve Congress in late 2022. Fujimori's victory confirms a shift to the right in Latin America, following the election of Abelardo de la Espriella as Colombia's new president, who, like other conservative Latin American leaders, has promised to crack down with an iron fist on a wave of public insecurity. Russia says its forces had captured the city of Kostyantynivka in Ukraine's eastern region of Donetsk. The announcement was made at a meeting of top Russian commanders with President Vladimir Putin. The meeting was held at an unidentified command headquarters for Russia's military operations in Ukraine. Kostiantynivka is a key stronghold in Ukraine's eastern fortress belt, long coveted by the Kremlin. Putin said last month that Russia was close to capturing Kostiantynivka, whose pre-war population was nearly 70,000, has fallen to around 2,000. Occupying Kostiantynivka would provide Russian forces a foothold from which to move north along the belt, now the central axis of their military campaign. Putin has insisted Russia must control all of Donetsk before war ends. Ukraine still holds around a fifth of the region after more than 4 years of fighting. Last month, senior Ukrainian commanders said fighting had reached into the city of Kostiantynivka itself, with small groups of Russian soldiers attempting to infiltrate its outskirts, suggesting close quarters assaults could follow. Chancellor Friedrich Merz says Germany does not have to shy away from taking up its record on defense spending, when asked about U.S. President Donald Trump calling Germany's past efforts ridiculous. The issue of defense spending had loomed large as NATO leaders prepare to gather next week in Ankara, where Europeans aim to set aside strife with Trump over Iran and Greenland to show that they are stepping up to defend the continent. Trump took to Truth Social to lambast the defense spending records of NATO allies this week. He said Germany's spending was much lower between 2014 and 2025 than the US or other NATO allies. In The Hague last year, NATO leaders agreed to spend 3.5% of GDP on core defense items, such as weapons and troops by 2035, up from a previous goal of 2%. The past 12 months have severely strained the alliance, with Trump threatening to take Greenland from fellow NATO member Denmark and then waging war against Iran that roiled the global economy without consulting European allies. The war also rattled personal ties between Trump and European leaders, including Merz, who said the US was being humiliated by Iran. Novak Djokovic reaches yet more milestones at a sun-drenched All-England club as he advanced to the Wimbledon fourth round with his 105th victory on the lawns, while top seed Jannik Sinner showed he was slowly warming to the task of defending his title. The 39-year-old Djokovic, aiming for a men's record equaling 8th Wimbledon crown and outright record 25th Grand Slam title, beat Frenchman Arthur Rindenesh 7-5, 6-4, 1-6, 7-6 with another vintage center court display. Italian world number 1 Sinner, whom Djokovic could meet in the semi-finals, had taken a while to stamp his authority on his return to the grass, but stepped up a level as he outclassed American Jensen Brooksby 6-4, 6-3, 6-4. While Djokovic and Sinner dominated the spotlight, Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime continued to fly under the radar as he moved past American Michael Jung 7-6, 6-2, 6-1 for a meeting with Alejandro Davidovich Fokina. Women's top seed Aryna Sabalenka also moved ominously into the last 16 as she comfortably dispatched Latvia's Yelena Ostapenko 6-4, 6-4 in a high-octane center court duel. Sabalenka's bid for a first Wimbledon title faces a big test next in the shape of Japan's Naomi Osaka, who paired her flair of court with growing confidence on it to thrash Daria Kasatkina 6-1, 6-3 and reach the last 16 for the first time. Coco Gauff, another Grand Slam champion for whom Wimbledon has proved a tricky puzzle to solve, scrambled into the fourth round past fellow American Claire Liu, winning 6-3, 6-7, 6-2 after squandering match points in the second set. Her reward for equaling her furthest ever run at Wimbledon is a meeting with Swiss 11th seed and 2025 finalist Belinda Bencic. 8th seed Daniil Medvedev could have been a quarter-final opponent for Sinner, but the Russian went down 7-6, 7-6, 7-5 to Germany's Jan-Lennard Struff. Canadian 3rd seed Felix Auger-Aliassime continued to fly under the radar as he moved past American Michael Jung 7-6, 6-2, 6-1 for a meeting with Alejandro Davidovich Fokina. Artists create massive sand sculptures reaching up to 15 meters in length at the 15th Sand Art Festival on Croatia's Rajska beach in Lopar. The festival featured large sculptures, including a giant squid, Mediterranean monk seal, turtle, and beach toys, each weighing approximately 20 tons. Drone footage showed the impressive scale of the sculptures, with artists working to shape and maintain the towering sand creations. Festival manager Paula Banic-Vudrag said that each sculpture told its own sand story as part of this year's theme. Academic sculptor Yelena Azinovic worked on a Mediterranean monk seal measuring between 8 and 10 meters. This was the 15th annual Sand Sculpture Festival in Lopar, which aims to promote the town and the island of Rab as a tourist destination with its 22 sandy beaches, a rarity on Croatia's rocky Adriatic coast. And that's all the news we have for today. Thank you for watching PSM News.